Hello, fellow Everton fans. We have a fellow Everton fan that follows Everton, and Corey. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Make yourself?
Yeah, not too bad for 10 at night, but for those that were curious, I heard, you know what? It could well be, and I really hope not, the last cup tie at Goodison Park. And it also may not be available to watch live in the UK, so I'm cranking the coffee. I'm on number 3 for the evening, and we'll be doing a watch along where hopefully I'm enthusiastic and have a big interaction with the crowd to see the third bite of the cherry, as I put in the title there, Corey. We've lost twice this season, but we have a new look to us. We have a new signing to talk about, who may well be playing today. We saw before the squad was announced, Harrison and Charlie Alcaraz walking onto the pitch, and we also know, yeah, we have lineups. So I'll bring those up and get your view on the starting 11 and go from there. So I want to bring that up. Come on. There we go. So Pickford in goals. A surprise there? Probably not, but we're trying to get a pretty strong starting 11 together. So we have Pickford in goal.
Yep.
The back four almost unchanged with Ashley Young at left back. What are your thoughts there?
I'm not surprised. The only change I could have seen happening was maybe O'Brien coming central, giving Talk a break and bringing Patterson in. But with him being injured, I'm not surprised at all. So, yeah, good to give at least one player a rest. Young ago. But I'm not surprised. We're pretty thin at the moment, especially with Patterson now being out.
Yeah, my other thought, honestly, was bring Michael Keane in, rest Tarkovsky, and keep. I mean, Jake O'Brien, if he's going to play every match, it may as well be right back until otherwise needed. So that would be my only thought, is maybe, yeah, if Patterson is out injured, that you really would just want to give Tarky a break, because, look, the older you get and the more matches you play, the question becomes, can you afford to have these players play 3 matches in a week? And Branthwaite, we know he's had some various kind of groin injuries as well, kind of anywhere between where the torso and the leg meets, and some challenges. So maybe it was a time to rest that up as well. But in this case, Vitaly Mikalenko, who's been playing excellent under Sean Dyche, is having a break, and we don't even see him in the starting. What is it? Starting 20 when you think of the bench as well.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, starting 20. Although 3 of the people in that 20 are goalkeepers.
Yeah, my
More
mathematics
goalkeepers
were
than
good. We're
strikers.
just not too many starting on the field players, if you don't want to kill the keeper. And Mr. Sheriff or Sharif is on the bench, yes. So
Yeah.
what we're also expecting is probably either a 4-2-3-1, or 4-4-1-1, or 4-5-1. We're not exactly sure. We know Beto is proudly punching the screen with enjoyment right here. Happy to see him on, but honestly, you couldn't see anyone else. So we do have a starting 5 in the midfield. Maybe it's a number 10 as well, kind of with Beto, but Idrissa Gana Gay, James Garner, Abdoulaye Doucouré, Jesper Lindstrom, and Iliman Ndiaye. Any surprises there?
Maybe the fact that we didn't make any changes. I thought, look, Garner's brilliant, but he is at an age now with the derby coming up in a couple of days. I would have thought he may have got a bit of a rest, whether that means the Corey dropping back or the Boodham going in or whatever. But I would have probably expected that. I would have maybe liked us to rest at least one leg. We know we've not got money to players to rest loads, but I would have maybe liked us to just do that little bit of resting. Because let's be honest, it's gonna be a battle on Tuesday. So, but again, we don't really
and
have the space
before
for
I
it.
go too much further, it appears I got my managers mixed up. Clearly, Mikalenko has been doing really well under David Moyes, not Sean Dyche. Must have been the Freudian slip, or the 10-15 slip after not having my 4th coffee yet. So apologies, but I'm not really sorry at the same time.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, but I will say, but your point really is that there are a couple players in this midfield that we really can't afford to break. Idrissa Gana Gay has been progressively getting back into that form we saw at the end of last season. That was pivotal. Abdoulaye Doucouré, yes, he scored a goal for us, so he's kind of back in a dangerous form as that, I suppose, number 10 or playing as a number, I guess, the box to box who does the defensive work at times. We're seeing both of those two players back on. We also know we have Charlie Alcaraz and Tim Eric Bunham on the bench. I suppose what you'd expect to see is one of, if not both, of Doucouré and Ghana Gay being subbed off at some point.
Yeah, I'd expect. Look, if we're winning, I'd expect probably Doucouré to come off, Eric Bunham to come on. If we're not winning, then maybe Ghana to come off and push with someone else coming on. Maybe push Doucouré back and have Alcaraz on. I am expecting Alcaraz to get on the pitch, definitely. Eric Bunham probably at some point as well. And we could see Harrison or Keane have a late game. I'm still not expecting anything from Sheriff, Dixon or Isaac Heath either. But it's nice to see him on the bench. We clocked on yesterday when we were doing the preview that these lads, Dixon, Martin Sharif, not Omar Sharif, I apologise, didn't play the under-21, so obviously they were going to be involved today, even if it is just from the bench. Hopefully they get to come on. Hopefully we're up 4-0 and they get to come on to see the game out for a bit of experience. But Bournemouth are a competitive team, and I don't think Moyes is going to take any unnecessary risks.
Yeah, that's a good segue to go into Bournemouth there. And yes, I didn't reference Alan Irvine, so happy about that one. But yeah, honestly, you're so used to naming the manager, and you try really hard not to reference Moyes from the good old days. It's a bit like when I moved back from Britain, or like from UK, sorry, where we use and Australia, where you have a very set like month and day get swapped, and in the US they put the month first and the date, and you're just sitting there trying to flip flop all the time. I feel like that's a little bit like talking about David Moyes as the manager. You thought, get your head out of the gutter. It's not 2007. Oh wait, it actually is. So it still takes a little bit of time for that muscle memory to kick in. In short, though, I expect, or what could be really interesting if we're ahead and you want to rest James Tarkowski, you could have Branthwaite and O'Brien as a defensive pairing, and then sneak in the likes of Roman Dixon for the final 15. That would be quite interesting as well.
Yeah,
But
and it potentially like Moyes has done when we've been 1 or 2 up previously. Going to 3 at the back and he's been bringing Patterson, hasn't he, as more of a wing back or a right midfielder. Young Roman Dixon could do that as well if he wants to shore up the defense,
five at the back.
Or exploit the wide areas a little bit more if he wants to change things late on. So
yeah, if you want to rest Doucouré, Ghana, bring in Alcaraz, Eric Bunham, and the Patterson-esque Roman Dixon on that right side, and then you play 5 at the back. But we'll switch to the Cherries real quick because we know they've been excellent this season. They gave Newcastle quite a run for their money. They knocked Nottingham Forest off their successful run there, and then they got taken back down to earth against Liverpool. Part of that, of course, being Kluivert, who I do not. Do I see him on the starting lineup? I do not, which is interesting. So we have
he's on the bench today,
Arrizabalaga, Hoyson, Kirkes, Cook, Christie, Adams, Tavernier, Jefferson, Semenyo, Zabani, and Winterburn. So the back 4 of Kirkes, Hoyson, Cook, and Zabani remain the same. And Adams and Christie, I imagine, are going to play as the 2 in that holding midfield, and then they'll have 3 up front, which does not look like it's going to be. Oh, I'm forgetting who's been Watara. I don't see on here. So, is Winterburn their striker?
Jefferson would probably be the striker, I believe. Tavernier on the right. I'd probably expect Semenyo on the other side. Winterburn will be the number 10 in that midfield. And then probably Jefferson up front. But Semenyo can play across that front 3. Tavernier can also do a job going forward a little bit. So they're quite fluid.
So they're just updated here as well. So let's go with that. So yeah, this is going to be the likely formation. So the back 4, as we mentioned, and then Winterburn, were you thinking is going to be the right back? I imagine those front, I guess the attacking midfield 3 will alternate a whole lot. And Jefferson will be the lead striker.
I'd expect Winterburn to be central because he can tuck in as well. And instead of being a 4-2-3-1, it can be a 4-3-3 4-3-3, if you know what I mean, because Ben Winterburn can do that. But Semenyo and Tavernier probably be a bit more fluid in terms of they're changing their positions on the pitch as well, giving our fullbacks a bit of a headache. Jefferson will most certainly be the number 9 leading the charge for them.
All right, so we can go into tactics, but I guess the real question is, which direction do you want to go? We've talked a whole bunch this week, not me directly, but about parking. We've talked about ticket sales. Ryan's gotten all excited about that. Did a match preview. Hello to Charlie. Just jumped on. Yeah, and I'm just excited to, for a brief moment, not being desperately worried about watching what's directly behind us and having that attitude, hopefully, of saying, you know what, if we focus on ourselves, we get results and we get away from the bottom 3, 4, 5 spots in the table anyway, and just play football and results will happen. We're right around that point, and maybe we can worry about doing two things, similar to Bournemouth, worrying about a cup run and doing well on the table rather than watching for that trap door.
Yeah, I think it's a case of now we still need to be sensible. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves. We still the focus is still going to be survival, but I think it is a point now where we can maybe not completely focus on it, but start shifting our attention to those above us. It's just positive to look ahead, isn't it, than looking behind you. So don't get too ahead of ourselves, but certainly we can start looking forward a little bit more.
Right. And where I'm really getting at is I don't want us to just be so worried about scratching a point on every single match, because sometimes trying to get points means you don't win and you're actually going further backwards by conserving with that attitude. Because if we're just saying it doesn't really matter, let's play blood the team in for next season, that's not the way I expect us to play.
Yeah, no, certainly. I think it should be a case of we approach every single game as if we want to win, and I think that's what we're doing a little bit more now. Whereas previously it was a case of hold fire. It's a must not lose, whereas now it's we should be winning as opposed to must not losers, and that's the kind of mentality we need to get. Even the likes of Bournemouth, who are a very good team, a very very good form, it's still a team who we can do something against. We were 2-0 up against them start of the season, and we just threw it away through. From my opinion, poor in-game management. So we've shown that we've got it in us to beat them. We've got the ability to do so. I think if we be a bit more positive, then yeah. We do need to be cautious though, because like I said, they are a good team. Bournemouth, they can counter-attack really, really well. Fast-paced, they've got a good bit of movement towards them as well. And they sting us on the counter-attack. So we do need to be careful. We're not going to be winning the possession, but I think instead of having 30%, maybe we have 35%, maybe even like just under 40%. And we scrape a 1-0 or a 2-1 or something like that. Just by being a bit more positive. They're a good team, but we should take the game to them a little bit more and maybe just press a little bit higher up the pitch.
Yeah, what I think could be, and I think that there's a couple notable absences, as we brought up. Vitaly Mikalenko, there's no news that he is injured. Maybe that's something that came in last minute. Maybe it's a flu bug. Maybe it's just the opportunity to give someone a rest. On the flip side, what's going to be really fortunate for us, because I tried to watch a few of the games back about Bournemouth recently and saying what is a huge impact. Kluivert has been just unreal for them, driving through, either creating goals or there was an unlucky offside against, I think it was Newcastle, where you're just watching him be able to strike the ball, quick draw outside the box, clinical on penalties, and being a real menace. So fortunately for us, he's not in the starting squad, not on the bench either. So my thoughts then come to, do we expect Semenyo to be knocking down or breaking the game open? We know he can. The other player that we expect to see something from would be Milos Kerkez on that left side, bombing on. And I think an interesting matchup maybe today with him and Jacob Ryan.
Yeah. Kerkez, he plays very wide. He almost plays as a winger, doesn't he? He's very much an attacking wing back in terms of a back four. But obviously the way we've played typically, O'Brien doesn't bomb up. So we will happily sit deep. I know we've done that previously, but we become a little bit asymmetrical. And I think I said last week, and I said a couple of times now, Jacob O'Brien, he's barely put a foot wrong He's very, very good. His one-on-ones, he's been fantastic at. And although he's not the fastest, although he's no slouch, to be fair to him, he doesn't let pacey players get past him. He shepherds them really well. It's going to be a different test against Kirkes because, like you said, he's fantastic. He plays really, really wide. So he is going to be have to be smart and have his wits about him today. All right back. So I'm confident in him doing it, to be honest. I'm not going to say the Kirkes is going to have absolutely nothing. He's going to pocket him, but I'm confident in his ability and his form at the moment. Hopefully he can just force him to come back on his right foot instead of utilising that width and exposing us. So I do believe it. I believe in Jake O'Brien.
Yeah, I believe in him defensively. It's just a tricky spot for him when you say go bomb on, and it's like you can't exactly sneak past a fullback at your height, can you? You hear him coming.
But you know what, mate?
Like, yeah, I think it'd be an interesting matchup because this is a true Premier League test for him at that position. I don't think he's been tested. Yes, Hyun-Min Song at times, but Kirkes is truly an in-form player.
I mean, Son's been out of form. He's been almost invisible every game I've watched him play lately. He's a shadow of the player he was a year ago. I think Brighton, decent team, but again, we shepherded them, done really well against them. You could say that's possibly due to his performance. Maybe they weren't having a bad game. Maybe he made them have a bad game. So you are right. But again, even if say we go to Leicester, and Leicester were terrible last week. They looked like just a defeated team. But when Stefan Mavididi, who I like, he's got pace, he's got trickery, come on later in the game, and you would have thought O'Brien would have been quiet. Or struggling inside at that time. He dealt with him really well. Again, that's another player who's got pace and he wants to get wide and he wants to drag you out and try and beat you one-on-one. And again, he got himself a good space in between, didn't get caught too close, didn't drop too deep off him, and he defended the one-on-one really, really well. And again, when you're a big lad who's not known for your pace and you're playing against a really pacey, tricky winger who's come on late, that's when you see teams get exposed. We've seen Ashley Young, we've seen Seamus Coleman when they're a little bit older. They get tired later on and they get turned around, beaten for pace, and they lose their man. Jacob O'Brien, I haven't seen him do that. He's been really good one-on-one defending. So, I believe in him. I think he's gonna have a good game today, and I think he'll hopefully he'll deal with Kirkes quite well.
Yeah, and I think that's certainly possible. Really, what I'm bringing up in these in this conversation here is if there's going to be a test. I think Bournemouth are yes, you could say Aston Villa, but he didn't start that match. That was Ashley Young, I believe, at right back on that match. So this is probably the toughest opposition Jake O'Brien has taken on directly. And we may well have a third pundit in here, all the way from Ohio. Welcome, Chad. Why don't we
Don't give away, Chris, you're giving away my location. It's a secret.
I'm in Perth, Australia. They can't find me.
Yeah, you're right. Hey, everybody. Welcome. Good to see you. What are we talking about? The lineups?
Yeah, we can talk about whatever you'd like. We were kind of looking at
Ashley Young. Ashley Young time. I was not expecting Ashley Young. I thought we would see more changes in the side, especially with a midweek matchup against Liverpool. So I'm a little surprised that Moyes is essentially going with no changes here. And then the one change he does make is subbing out a 24-year-old fullback for a 38-year-old player.
The Everton account
on the squad.
The Everton account has confirmed that the reason he's missing out is just a precaution after feeling his calf. So again, that's probably a forced change. He probably wouldn't have made that change otherwise.
Okay, Corey, doesn't this is what makes the transfer deadline so frustrating? And I know that I think they decided not to make any moves because 3 wins off the bounce and feeling good about where the squad is right now. But did you see our bench? We have 2 goalkeepers and 3 under 21s. It's the thinnest Premier League side I think I've ever seen. And it's not like we're pulling up any trees with some of these starters either. So I don't know. Like, I feel really great about where we are under David Moyes right now and the confidence that he's instilled with this group. But just looking at this, it's almost negligent that we did not get more incomings in than Alcaraz.
See, when we done the deadline day special, I'm content. I would have liked another winger to go out just to give us a bit more, a winger or a striker, just to give us a bit more pace up front, because I thought we would have needed that. I've probably hammered that to death. And I do think that we're pretty much gone. We're going with what we've got, the old Moyes saying, and it is a case of we just don't want to spend money on. Because look, we could get through just for the extra chance of having maybe 1 or 2 extra players on this team. For this one game when we got players come back fit, is it worth the money we'd miss out on and the chance in the summer compared to what we get as a benefit from this? So I think he's just going to go with what we've got. Ideally, we'd have another striker, but we're going to be without one for the next 3-4 weeks till Chimiti is fit. So I understand your frustration, Chad, and I don't blame anyone for having that kind of frustration and the feeling of a missed opportunity, because we probably should have brought in maybe one player, maybe another player on top of that. But I do think we're looking ahead to the summer, and I think it is very much a case of let's just focus on that more than anything. So, but again, Goodison's last season, we want it to be the best we can do. So I can understand the apprehension, and I can understand you being a bit frustrated at that.
Yeah, I get everything that you're talking about. But the summer transfer window looks very different than the winter transfer window. There are far more competitors. There's far more buyers in the summer transfer window. So I actually wonder if we would have probably done better with a few additions now, rather than waiting to the summer when we're bidding against the likes of, well, really any number of teams with the Premier League plus all throughout Europe. It's a risk. It's a risk. I don't know if I would have taken it. I would have liked to see at least get another wide player in, another striker, another fullback. I would have liked to see at least a couple more additions in the side. Sorry, I've completely derailed the show, so I don't mean to.
No, Chad, this is good.
Yeah,
my question to you though, if you're saying that a lot of clubs are more active in the summer transfer window rather than the January transfer window, what makes Everton special enough that we qualify as one of those teams that is uniquely set up just because they heard we may not be in trouble with PSR, so therefore we're good to go by? Or was there something else that made you think that we're in a better financial situation than a lot of the other Premier League clubs? Because I was talking with Jan, I thought, why aren't we getting players? I'm like, oh, wait, we haven't paid for Beto yet.
It's not that we're in a better financial position than other clubs, because God knows that we are not. It's that other clubs have already made their moves. Everton have had to keep their powder dry for the most part. Our net spend is positive. I think we may be the only Premier League team when you could say that about. So there was money to spend here. There were rumors of it was an upwards of £30 million. The Freakin Group were willing to allocate for acquisitions. And we've essentially spent none of it. We brought in one player on a loan with an option to buy, however you want to look at it. There was an offer out to Ernest Nuama at Lyon, and there's some definite weirdness now between those two clubs. It looks like there was a bid put in for Tom Fellows. That didn't come to fruition. There was money to spend. It just, I wish they would. I just wish it would have happened. We don't obviously get all the details of all the work that Everton are doing at the transfer deadline, but it does feel like this was a missed opportunity to strengthen the squad, especially when you look at this table. And I know this is not a league match, but you look at this table and we are only a few points off from sitting mid-table, and the financial implications of finishing higher in the table means that we could potentially use more money in the summer and in years to come. So I just wanted to get that off my chest. That's why it's so frustrating looking at this lineup card and seeing the likes of Decore, who, besides a good first half last time out, has been absolutely dreadful. God knows that Idrissa Gana Gay could probably use some time off.
Yes.
And Dye could use some time off. There should be an opportunity here to use the depth that would be available to any other Premier League side, and we don't have that opportunity today.
What I would say is as well, though, so for me personally, the players that would probably need a rest, maybe Tarkowski or Branthwaite, which you'd bring O'Brien into the centre and have Patterson on. Unfortunately, he's got injured last second, same with Mikalenko, so that's changed things a little bit. The changes I would personally make, because like Beto, I think still needs that run of game. In Jai, keep him going. Lindstrom, I still want him to keep playing and get a goal or something like that. The players you'd be most concerned about are or like I would personally, is Garner and Decore, or Garner in midfield. Now, ironically, we've probably got the depth in that position to deal with that and rest them players today. So, for example, I mentioned to you before, Chris, you bring Alcaraz on for Decore, or Alcaraz on for one of the central midfielders and push Decore back. You could bring Tim Boonham into the centre. So, ironically, I'd say the players that we probably need to rest the most, the older players, are the ones where we've actually got the space to do so, and we haven't. I think Moyes has gone with a strong team anyway. I think he would have gone with a pretty much unchanged team regardless. Now, whether that's the right thing or not, I'm not too sure, because I will give a rest, but we got a fourth. Hello.
Ryan, you on?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Ryan.
We can hear you. Yep.
I'm just on my way to Goodison Park, guys. Yeah, I'm approaching Goodison.
And he's getting quieter and quieter and quieter.
Oh, it's terrible. You can't hear me, can you?
We can now, but you're getting quieter.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Little.
Yeah, just.
You probably only got 2 seconds before you get where Everton have managed to somehow, by a miracle, block out any way of communicating with any human being within 2.5 miles of Goodison Park. But anyway, why is he not playing Alcaraz? Come on. I don't need to see Decore again. I've seen him before, and we've got a match on Wednesday.
Maybe it's a component of new players need to earn their spot in the squad.
Maybe saving them for the scrap in the derby instead. Boil some piss.
Well, he's got to learn from Asmir Begovic how to get in a fight.
I don't think to Goodison.
I don't think you need to teach a Argentine.
Can I just wish you all well and have a great day?
Yeah,
thank you very much, Mike. We also hope you have a great day, mate, because it means we have a great day.
Have fun.
I've been enjoying listening to this stream, but obviously I'm getting within Goodison and it's impossible. It's just going to keep cutting out. But yeah, all I'd say is I would have liked a couple more changes just because the derby is so big. We cannot get battered by Liverpool on Wednesday, truly. If you offered me a point on Wednesday and to go out the cup today, I'll be honest, I'd take it. That's what I would have taken more than a win today and a loss.
Agree. Yeah, agree. All right, Ryan, what's your prediction then?
See you later.
Ryan, what's your prediction?
Everton will win. Everton will win this 2-0.
2-0 is right.
Yeah, and then he'll take
Loving
changes
this positivity.
I don't want to get killed outside Goodison Park by idiot taxi drivers. So I'll see you in a bit.
See you in a bit, mate.
Okay.
Have a good one.
Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, let me ask you fellas this then. Hey, I will be positive. Charlie Brown. That's a funny person to tell somebody to be positive.
Don't kick away the football.
No, listen, I'm in good spirits. Moyes has got us play good football. Here's my concern about today. So you will notice that we seem to be we are a different side formation-wise in attack and in defense. When we are on the ball, Mikolenko has been pushing higher up the field. It is pushing Ndai more centrally, and then Idrissa Gana Gueye is having to come back and cover some of that open space that Mikolenko is leaving. In doing so, so we essentially are having a back three in defense of Brian Tarkowski and Branthwaite. I don't think Ashley Young is going to be able to get as high as Mikolenko has been, and I think it's going to alter our attack. I think we're going to be very safe today. And I'm worried that we won't be able to put the pressure on Bournemouth in the way that we were able to put the pressure on Tottenham and who else am I forgetting? And
Brighton.
Brighton, thank
Leicester.
you.
And Leicester.
Yeah. So that's kind of what my concerns for today when I see this side. Corey, Chris, what do you think about that?
It's a very good point. I do think it's going to affect how much we attack, but also, as well, I don't think this is the kind of game where we're going to be attacking as much as we did against Leicester. We're not going to be as expansive, even against Spurs, because as good as they can be attacking, they're terrible defensively. The difference is Brighton. Now, maybe we're going to do what we did against Brighton. This is what I think is likely how it's going to go, is we're still going to press high up the field, we're just not going to have as much width to do so. Considering they don't have a natural right back, it would have been nice to have someone who is going to overlap or is going to really stretch Lewis Cook, because he's essentially playing out of position. But I think it's going to be a similar kind of tactic today, where we still a bit more proactive than we were under Deitch. But we're still defensively, we're defending from the front as opposed to attacking the game, if you understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chris, and Bournemouth are very effective at catching teams underprepared, what you'd say, like exposing rest defense. So all of a sudden we go forward, we bring one too many players up, and they quickly turn over and then basically overload and quickly score goals. So if you have the likes of Mikalenko, then you have more of a liability to making sure that Ghana Gay is covering more ground through the middle and potentially on that left side. If they have the likes of a Semenyo, or who I forgot who they're playing out wide today in that spot. So because in this case, Ashley Young will stay back, you'll probably counteract a component of what Bournemouth are really good at, is basically exposing a high line and just having 3 or 4 players bolting down and trying to cut it in behind. So there is some benefit to that. The problem is that Ashley Young isn't exactly pacey.
Yeah, he's got absolutely no pace, really, has he? No. But I think this is a case of potentially where then are we likely to see Njai cut inside a bit less, because obviously when he would have had Mikalenko, he would have had someone out wide giving him the space to cut in. Are we going to rely on him because he's not rapid, but maybe then we're going to put him on that one-on-one scenario against Lewis Cook and say, look, he's a central midfielder, he's not a right back. Stand him up as many times as you want and go at him. You don't need to worry, because Ashley Young's going to be a little bit behind you, a little bit inside. He's going to create that space on that player. You work on him all day, and we've seen that he's right-footed, but he can, when he gets past the player on the left-hand side, he can put a ball in with his left foot as well. He's willing to give it a go. So maybe that's what we're going for, is instead use him as more of a winger to beat his man, as opposed to inside forward, go on that left, drift in, make your way towards the box. Maybe it's just something a little bit different from there.
Yeah. What I would like to see as well, hopefully we're in a scenario where we've gotten our tactics right. We're up 2-0 within 60 minutes. Then all of a sudden, you know what? Njai either plays in the number 10 and you bring in Harrison, or maybe you just say, you're right, Doucouré's off, Ghana Gay's off, Tarkovsky is off, and we're just basically giving a few minutes to some of these other players, the likes of an Alcaraz, and we're not putting too much onus on Iliman Njai trying to take on this Bournemouth squad today for for 90 minutes, because he will get a lot of attention, you'd imagine, from the midfield of Liverpool coming week.
That's my concern with this match. It's Lindstrom and Ndai out wide, because they've been running themselves ragged under Moyes. Lindstrom hasn't been able to finish on 90 minutes under David Moyes yet.
He hasn't finished in the goal either, unfortunately, but he's getting close.
It's Bigfoot. I told you it's Bigfoot. Jesper Lindstrom goal. So my concern is that, with Liverpool coming up on Wednesday, we have to be really careful with those two today. I don't know if that means Roman Dixon is coming in at some point as playing wide out right, and Harrison moves to the left, and we could sub them both. David Moyes has to be very careful how he manages his match. So I'm excited to see it. I'm curious. Fearful. It can be all 3 of those things at once, I think, for this one.
Yeah, it's the magic of the cup, isn't it? It's a one game, it's one and done. You either make it through or you don't. So I get where you're coming from, mate. There's a bit riding on it, because it could be, we don't want Goodison's last ever FA Cup game to go out with a whimper. We want a chance of having another game at Goodison by making it through to the next round. And like you said, there's a bit of an unknown quantity in terms of, have we got the fitness? But what I would say, look, we're maybe a little bit disappointed that we've not rested some players. Bournemouth have. They're a team in good form as a week. Maybe us keeping that consistency is good going through even to the derby. If we keep that consistency up, the same players, keeping good form up, especially if we win. Whereas Bournemouth, they've made them changes, they can come back to bite them on the backside a little bit.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you guys this: Did you see the press conference, David Moyes' press conference yesterday?
I've watched it.
I didn't.
Not the full thing, but yeah.
Okay, he had an interesting question at the very end, and it took him a while to get around an answer to it. But he even said it was a good question, and I don't know the reporter's name that asked him it. but he said, do you feel like there is more freedom and less stress heading into a cup game like this, as opposed to a league match, especially one against Liverpool at Goodison, where we sit in the table? And he eventually agreed and said that there should be less stress and we should be more, have more freedom out there on the pitch. Do you feel like maybe David Moyes takes chances in this match he wouldn't otherwise?
I don't think that's the kind of guy that Moyes is. I think he will play the percentages a little bit. He works on what's best for the players as opposed to a very clear identifying ideology. So I think he will just work on what's best with the players, and he'll prepare for it. But I think he will take the game as it comes. If he sees an opportunity to go for it, I reckon so. But I don't think we're going to come out being gung ho right from the very, very start. I think he'll take his time working into it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Oh, thanks for those scores, Chris. I have not been able to follow anything. I saw Leighton went up 1-0 on Manchester City, but
did you see the goal?
I didn't see the goal. Was it?
Get online and have a look for the goal.
Class. Okay.
Oh, mate, from
or you could stay online and watch Chris do watch along for an entire 2 hours. Where's your follow Everton commitment?
Oh yeah, wait till after the match.
Okay. So I might.
Wait, so we're all going to be on post match, right?
I think so. On post match.
Okay,
yeah,
so
my
Chris,
fatigue levels and things to talk about. I may have ran out of topics after another 2 hours, but we shall see. I'm just sit in the background doing graphics and just smiling and nodding.
No, you'll be delirious. It'll be fun. We'll have some fun with you.
Me and Chad can carry it while you're sat there with matchsticks in your eyes, mate. Don't worry.
Hey, fellas, remind me. Was it last year? Was it an FA Cup match against Bournemouth where Onana missed the penalty last year?
That was Fulham.
That was Fulham.
Yeah, that was Fulham.
Okay. Oh,
it hurts more when it's correct, Corey, and now it's all coming back.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry.
He tries to shimmy, and he realized he was too tall to control his legs at that pace, and just pass it to the keeper.
Yeah. If this goes to penalties today, who do we think are our five? Who would you pick?
Well, that's a good question.
Njai, Beto,
Tarkovsky,
I'd James Garner. I'd have his number 3. I'd probably put Jared Branthwaite on. He looks like he can strike a ball. He's got the confidence.
Oh wow! Okay,
yeah, maybe even Jake O'Brien, because I've seen he's quite cultured as well. So they seem. Well, you can be a good finisher.
So you have to be cultured to score goals, do you?
No, but he's got that calmness. You know what I mean? So he's got a decent foot on him. He's not like a standard grok who can't kick the ball. He looks like he can work a ball, and he looks like he's got that calmness. And I think Branthwaite's got that as well. So sometimes that's what you want in your penalty, because you can be a great finisher, but if your bottle goes.
Corey, the one name you didn't mention was the best striker in the entire squad, Michael Keane.
Yeah.
Well,
the reality is,
he gets on the pitch.
Well,
can we sub him? Can we sub him at like the 92nd minute?
Yeah. Bring him on, Corey.
I feel like when I've watched the penalties, Taki actually always strikes at top corner with venom as well. That's the other one that I think. You say maybe he gets emotional, but he seems to strike a good penalty when I've watched him. I was going to bring up a fellow member of the show, Peter Duggan first. Penalties for Njai, James Garner, yes, for Lindstrom, Jake O'Brien, and Michael Keane. I could see that.
I like those picks.
What's interesting is how is Lindstrom's headspace? That's what I was thinking.
Well, you don't put him last. That's for sure.
Oh no, don't do that. Put him first. So Jeff, the we're not very good at football host from a couple of years back. We are in a better position now. You've completely forgotten that in the summer we drop a dozen players off the wages and move to a new stadium. I'm not sure we've forgotten, and there will certainly be an increase in revenue. I've got a couple of days before I fly back out, so I'm still thinking if I have the energy after doing 3 shows today, maybe I do one tomorrow. We kind of show how the wage bill is set up. I know Chad and I did one similar to that last year, but a lot of players are going off the books. Who's worth extending, and what does that situation look like?
Okay. I would love for someone to explain to me how the full financial picture works, because it's over a 3-year window, correct?
Well,
that they
that's the
look
current.
at?
That's the current PSR. We're moving to a new system. After this period ends, so it's July the 1st. We're moving to a new system, which I don't know what the period is for that, whether it's 3 years or not. But that is, instead of the PSR regulations that we've got now, where you can't make a loss of a certain amount, you're allowed to spend. I think it's like 80% of your revenue if you're not in Europe, and if you are in Europe, you're only allowed to spend 65% of your revenue on expenditure or something like that for players.
Oh, interesting.
So
Oh,
Wormy's bringing up a good question. I cannot remember for the life of me.
Extra
We
time,
don't do replays. Is it
extra time,
extra time and then to penalties? But it is
extra
not
time, then
going to
pens.
be
Yeah,
replayed in Bournemouth. It's going straight to extra time. No
no
match
replays,
replay.
no replays, no straight to penalties. It's going to extra time and then penalties, which I think is a bit harsh on. We need to have this kind of conversation because it's not fair on your lower league teams. A lot of time they will rely on that extra bit of revenue coming in from an extra game against a big team with the TV money. So I think there's a lot of clubs that have, especially clubs in Europe, who have voted for this, so they have to play less games. Even though everything's backed in their favour because they get to have a bigger bench, they get to bring on more substitutions, which the bigger revenue will allow them to do that, and yet they still complain. And I think it's unfair on the lower league teams. I think football in this country is very much it stems from the lower league. A lot of players will come from the lower league, work their way up. Even some players will get picked from non-division clubs miraculously into Premier League. It all starts from there, and it's a big, massive part of the culture here in England, in the UK, in Britain. So I think it's horrible, and it's completely unfair and unjust that happens against them lower league clubs. I just had to get that off my chest because I really believe in that. And if I don't believe we are, but if Everton are one of the clubs that voted against or voted for scrapping the replays, I'd be really, really disappointed in the club if that was the case.
Let me put this up real quick from Emma, one of our absolute favorites on the show. It's her dad's birthday today, and he left us a year ago, hoping for a win today. I hope we get one for him as well, Emma. Cheers to you. Good luck today. I know it's going to be hard.
Cheers to you. Happy birthday. Happy heavenly birthday to your father as well. Hopefully the Blues can do it for you. Thinking of your armies.
Yeah. All right, mates. What's the prediction for today?
Do you want to go first, Chris?
So I might go first, and then I might disappear off this one and get the next show going. So I'm thinking 2-1, and Beto is certainly on the score sheet, and I think it'll be the likes of a Tarkovsky off a set play for my other one.
Okay. Do you want to go next, Chad?
All right. Yeah, I'll go. I think this is going to be. I think we are experiencing a Beto-sance. A Beto renaissance. I think another brace for Beto. I think the Beto-sance continues 2-0 Toffees.
Oh, spot on. I like that. So yesterday I said 2-1, but I wasn't expecting them to rest the players that they have done. I was expecting maybe a Clivert or me or someone else to start. So instead of 2-1, I'm going to go with 2-0 to Everton, changing at the last minute. I agree with you, Chad. I see a Beto goal. I see at least one. And who scored on the other one? I'm going to say
Jesper Lindstrom. Get on there.
I don't see that happening. I see Alcaraz will come on and get a late one, like poke it on kind of thing. That's what I see.
Yeah. We have Emma 3-1, and then Peter Collins is just drunk. Peter Collins 5-4.
Did you not mean penalties?
You're mad. Yeah, that's the penalties.
For a second, I was like, Peter Duggan has a high score today, but no, Peter Collins has a 5-4. And Charlie Brown is in American football land, I think.
Yeah, that's 3 touchdowns. I don't even know. That's safety and a field goal. That's crazy. All right. What else? Anything else before we drop off to watch this? Well,
Nope.
We're not dropping off. You're staying on, Chris.
Well, I've got another show I'm trying to get set up for. So if I'm not talking to you, that's what's happening.
Yeah, I tell you what, before we go, everyone who's watching, I know most of you probably already do. We really appreciate it. But anyone who hasn't, if you can subscribe, really goes a long way. Obviously, Chris is staying up very, very late to do the post-match, and he's also doing a watch-along as well for those who can't watch the game here in the UK. So if you can, show your support. We really, really appreciate it. Like, subscribe. Apart from that, Chris will see you in a couple of minutes on the watch-along. Me and Chad will see you for the post-match reaction with Chris as well. Thank you. Up the Toffees. Let's have it.
Up the Toffees.